Hello and welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast. I am so excited for you to be here and to share with you all these amazing stories that I have to tell you today. I did a little research on Thanksgiving and oh my gosh, I found the hero of Thanksgiving. I'm super excited to share this with you. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get started. You wouldn't know it, but there is a story of Thanksgiving that I feel is undertold. There's a man named Squanto. Squantum is his actual name. And he actually is the story of Joseph. I don't know if you're familiar with that story in the Bible, but like Joseph's sold into slavery by his brothers, and then he, as a slave, then is accused of rape, and he didn't do it, but he gets sent to jail, and then in jail he's put over the other inmates and is serving them, and he interprets dreams, and finally he ends up, because of his skill of interpreting dreams, he ends up in front of the Pharaoh and then ends up saving a big portion of the earth because of his ability to interpret this dream and then also manage the grain resources that they had so that everyone wouldn't starve. So back to Thanksgiving, back to Squanto. This young man was, according to history, kidnapped by some English explorers, in particular a Sir Ferdinando Gorges, and brought back to England. He lived with Sir Fernando, and he was taught English, and he was trained to be an interpreter and a guide. He then ended up going back to America. They think he was hired as an interpreter by a man named John Smith, who was going to be exploring again. But then, come to find out, he gets captured yet again by someone named Thomas Hunt, another explorer, and then was sold into slavery in Spain. There in Spain, he escaped his capture or his slavery, and then ended up living with monks there for several years. And then finally we find him back in America once again, and it is 1619, just about the time that the Pilgrims were landing and starving to death. When he got back to America, unfortunately, he found that his entire tribe was dead due to smallpox. So here's this young man. Now he is in his 40s and he doesn't have any family of his own. He ends up going and living with the Wampanoags, or the Wampanoags, I guess is how you say it. And that tribe is near where the Pilgrims were. So here's a young man who could have been incredibly bitter, who could have been just very angry with the white men, with the foreigners that were coming to America at the time, and he could have just gone out on his own and not helped, but you see him helping. And I am just amazed at that. With everything he went through, with the back and forth, being kidnapped, and then it sounds like Sir Ferdinando was somewhat kind to him. He taught him English and gave him a trade, and then he has this opportunity to go back to America with this John Smith, and then things go awry there. He gets captured by this Thomas Hunt and sold into slavery. I can't imagine that back and forth, and just that desperation of just wanting to get back home, wanting to have your freedom. And here he is, he finally gets back home, and all his loved ones, all his family is gone. So that's why it's so amazing that this individual is helping, that the very people that he's suffered definitely has suffered at the hand of these foreigners that have come into his land, and then he's there helping them. That's what's so amazing to me. He helps them know how to raise their crops. He instructs them on planting fish with their corn, so their corn has some nutrients and it grows. And he is an interpreter for them and helps them to communicate with the tribe around them. So fast forward to today, and we celebrate Thanksgiving mostly due to Squanto, because those settlers didn't die. They went on to live and have a good relationship, at least with that tribe. There was a lot of going back and forth throughout the years before we are to this point today. But wow, what a testimony of overcoming and not letting life's tragedies, life's hardships beat you down and make you angry and turn inward. What an incredible story of how God used this young man. I don't know anything about his faith. I don't know anything about what exactly he experienced. He lived with monks for several years, so I'm guessing he had some influence of the Christian faith. So here we are today, and this man is what I say the hero of Thanksgiving. There was also a woman that was influential in the beginning of Thanksgiving. Many years after Squanto, there were days that were set aside by actually George Washington for Thanksgiving, and but the tradition didn't actually become a national holiday until 1963 with Abraham Lincoln. And his decision to instill Thanksgiving as a national holiday came after the Civil War, and it was a time to hopefully help the country be united and heal after the Civil War. But there was a woman by the name of Sarah Hale. She is credited with writing the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb. But she also was a big petitioner for getting Thanksgiving designated as a national holiday. She actually lobbied for 36 years, writing letters and articles and trying to get Thanksgiving established as a national holiday. I don't know why it would have taken that long. I'm guessing because things don't move as fast as they do today with our information highways and all that's going on today. But I thought that was interesting too, to find that out. But mostly today, I wanted to share with you these two stories because this podcast is about finding your joy, about not giving up when life has gotten you down. I will share with you so many stories of my own and those I interview of people that overcome, people that haven't let life's tragedies and troubles keep them from experiencing joy in life and becoming their best self and finding who they are in Christ and making a difference in their world. Squanto is a huge example of that. I also want you to know that this podcast is also going to be about parenting with purpose and self-improvement. Christ died for us, but he didn't die for us just to live a boring, normal life. He died for us to have a joyful, abundant life. And you can so easily get stalled out in life by all the junk that's happened. We all encounter hurts and disappointments, and some of us, some horrible tragedies. And this podcast is going to be about finding your joy no matter what this life hands you, as well as how to parent with purpose, how to be intentional in your life's decisions, and how to find real change and real hope in your life to be an overcomer. So I'm so glad that you've joined me today. I'm so glad that we've gotten this time to talk about an overcomer. And it is my hope that as you go through your Thanksgiving holiday this year, you think about Squanto and what an overcomer he is as you encounter disappointments and conflict with relatives or family or friends, as often happens over the holidays, that you take a deep breath and count your blessings and think about Squanto and his example, and think about what your ability to forgive and move on and not hold grudges would do in your world, in your life, and in the world around you. Be blessed. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. The more that we get the word out, the more we can spread that joy and make a difference in our world. Thanks for joining in. Today's episode was sponsored by Solar Grids Grand Rapids. If you are looking for solar grids to be placed on your home or business to save yourself some money, you can find information about that at solargridsgrandrapids.com. They service the greater Grand Rapids area and shore. So go ahead, reach out to them today.